Hi there, welcome to Sunny with a Chance of Chaos, a podcast that is equal parts optimistic and realistic. Join me as we discuss the ups and downs that day-to-day life brings. I'm Lindsay, and I'm so glad you're here. So, get a coffee, get comfy, and get ready for a little bit of life's chaos. Hi. Welcome to Sunny with a Chance of Chaos. I'm Lindsay, and I'm so excited to be here, and I'm so excited that you're here, and this is just so great. This is episode 1. Here we go. I've been toying with the idea of throwing a podcast out into the world for a while now. I seem to just have a lot of questions and comments and questions and more questions and ideas about my middle-age life. So why not put it out into the universe and see if it resonates with anyone else? A little about me. I'm a mom and I'm a teacher. I'm not an expert in anything in particular. I have no long list of letters behind my name, but what I do have going for me, as I'm sure most of you do too, is the experience of living for the past 43, almost 44 actually, coming up pretty soon. 44 years, which in my view is no small feat. I figure a lot of you are probably asking a lot of the same questions that I am and trying to find the answers. So I'm hoping that this little podcast becomes a safe place for you to ask questions, learn a little bit. We can have a conversation and perhaps we can find some semblance of an answer together. I'm naturally a curious person and I love problem solving, but mostly I love being in community with others, and that's really the goal here. So maybe together we can be real, we can have a laugh, we can wade through some of life's chaos together. So put in your AirPods, get dinner going, take a walk, whatever you need to do right now. And I'm just going to be right here telling you some stories, answering your questions, keeping you company. So today we talk toxic positivity. We're going to start this podcast light and talk about toxic positivity. So thanks for being here. Let's go. A few years ago, my very sweet friend, I will call her C in this episode, was getting married, and she invited me to be a bridesmaid in her wedding party. So at the age of 40 something, I was getting to be a bridesmaid again. I thought my bridesmaid days were over at that point. Welcome to middle age, but I got one more chance to have that honor, and I was so excited. Throughout the months leading up to the wedding, I was called upon a few times to give my opinion and my input on various wedding aspects and elements and colors and all kinds of things. It was great fun. I was so excited for my friend, who was reasonably a nervous bride-to-be, and I tried to be as supportive as possible. So I said, "I love it," and "great idea," to most things she sent my way for my scrutiny. I genuinely meant it for the most part, but I wasn't really giving an actual or honest opinion. I was just being so agreeable and so positive to help her feel good about her big day that she was so nervous about. And I thought I was being such a good friend. I really did. I thought I was being such a good friend. And then came the dress decisions. So she mentioned she was going to start sending me images of her various dress options, and she wanted my feedback on them. She wanted me to come to the store with her, etc., etc. But before she even sent one picture, she texted and said, "I'm only sending these if you promise to give me your honest opinion and not to blow sunshine up my ass." And I took a minute to respond. I thought about it and I was like, "Oh, what's she talking about?" And I said, of course. I texted her back, "Of course. Why would you say that?" And she replied with, "Well, you always say you like everything all the time. But this is my wedding dress, and I really need you to be honest instead of just agreeable. I was not shocked at her ask. C is a true realist after all. I was surprised to notice that I had in fact been blowing sunshine a lot. I was familiar with the term toxic positivity. I had been for a couple years at that point. I had already read all about the dangers of saying good vibes only and how important it is to feel a full range of feelings and not push away the bad ones. But I guess I wasn't really putting my newfound knowledge of this popular term into practice in my own life. So I learned something that day, to say the least. Once I knew better, I did better, and I was honest about her dresses, and there was no more sunshine being blown up anybody's ass. And I told her when I thought one of the dresses looked like 1920s drapery, and when another one made her look like an extra in the movie Frozen. And now perhaps she trusts me a little more to give authentic feedback, not just what I think she wants to hear. What is toxic positivity and why does it matter? So I looked online. That's where you go for things, right, these days. Toxic positivity is the display of only positive emotions and reactions. It's the suppression of any negative emotions, feelings, reactions, opinions, or experiences. And it was coined by psychologist Dr. Jamie Zuckerman. So this can present as good vibes only, or it's a no complaining zone. We've all seen the t-shirts and the posters. This can be problematic for so many reasons. When someone comes to you with a problem, in my experience, 90% of the time, they just want to be seen and heard. They want to be validated. They probably aren't ready to be told it's going to work out in the end, or look on the bright side. They're ready to have an ally in their experience of negativity. They are seeking someone to say, that really sucks, or gosh, that sounds awful. I'm so sorry that's happening for you. What do you need from me right now? I have a friend, actually, she greets all my tales of woe with, who do I need to punch in the throat for you? And I wouldn't put it past her. We negate people's experiences and we deprive them of our empathy and authenticity when we quickly brush off their bad experience. Oh, it'll pass. This will pass. Soldier on. Or offer them a false sense of security when we tell them that their dress is beautiful when really it looks like curtains. Your empathy and acceptance of the entire range of someone's emotions will likely go a long way in allowing them to feel validated and seen and heard, etc. But more importantly, it actually has the potential to bring your friendship or relationship closer together to a more authentic place. Meeting someone where they're at is a step towards earning their trust and showing them that you're willing to hold space for them instead of just blowing sunshine up their ass and buying them a good vibes only magnetic notepad for their fridge. Not helpful. People feel all the feels for all the reasons, and dismissing the wide range of emotions that people are apt to feel doesn't make the emotion or reaction disappear. It doesn't make the negativity go away. It actually only pushes it to a place where it cannot be processed appropriately and it can't be worked through because it's hiding. And in my experience, that actually has served to turn into a poison of sorts. And I think that's actually where the word toxic resonates with me. Pushing those feelings down and pretending that the negative ones don't exist, it turns them toxic. I had a therapist once who told me about poisonous tears, the tears that we hold back and we don't let fall. They actually become toxic and poison. She described a study from years ago of these tears that were extracted from human tear ducts, and they were tears that were withheld and prevented from being released, and they actually injected these poor rats with these tears. And I'm not kidding, friends. The rats got poisoned No joke. The repressed human tears were poisonous to the rats. So there's some real truth and I guess science to the word toxic and within the term toxic positivity. So how do we bring authentic opinion, emotion, feelings, experiences into our lives without becoming a complaining pessimist who no one wants to be around? How do we avoid being toxically positive and yet still remain optimistic? I'm still working on it. I think about it often, how to be optimistic and realistic. Imagine that. Here's an example from my parenting life. For years, I was being toxically positive with my own kids as well, again, without really knowing it. I thought I was offering them an opportunity to look on the bright side, but what I was actually doing was not offering them an opportunity to process negative emotion. I was depriving them of my honesty and my authenticity and my empathy. So after one hard conversation with my younger son in the car, no less, this is where the deepest, juiciest conversations with our kids seem to happen. The children, they like to trap us where we can't get away or escape the hard questions. Like, I'm pretty sure this is where they ask things like, where do babies come from? Or is Santa Claus real? This is the worst place ever. We are stuck. We cannot get away, and they know it. I swear they know it. Anyway, this particular winter morning last year, I was faced with a hard question about letting my son feel all the feels. He asked me if I could stop trying to help him so much. And basically, his experience had been that every time he had come to me with a problem, I had immediately tried to solve it or dismiss it or overlay it with my own experiences and opinions and toxic positivity. So, wow, hard mom moment to realize that the thing I thought was helpful was actually harmful to my small humans. So first I owned my mistake, then I apologized, and then we talked about what I could do differently. This is a classic 3-part repair model. It's a gem. I use it all the time with my students and my kids, and I highly recommend it. First you own it, then you apologize, then you make a plan. It's kind of awesome. I definitely recommend it. So we tried something new. We started what we coined as a family rant dinner, where everyone just sits down at the table and takes turns saying all the things they are thinking, feeling, all the little annoyances and frustrations from their day, and maybe even drop a swear word or two. I'm careful for it not to turn into like a bitch session or just a gossip fest, but sometimes it just feels good to say all the things. So after our first rant dinner, at which I complained about work and my oldest son complained about some stuff that was happening on his volleyball team, and my youngest was complaining about some kids at school that were causing some trouble. And anyway, after all of this, my youngest came up to me later. We were sitting on the couch and he thanked me. He's like, "Mom, that felt so good." And it did. It actually did. It felt really good to have our safest, closest people hold space for us while we got some of those things off our chests at dinner. Now that I think about it, actually, we do oranges and lemons sometimes at dinner. We've been doing this for years. Over dinner, orange and lemon, where everyone gets to say one sweet thing and one sour thing about their day. So I guess from a parenting perspective, I can cut myself a little bit of slack here. I have been allowing my kids to access some parts of their negative emotion for many, many years. However, I can almost guarantee that my response to their lemons over the years, before I knew how toxic positivity is and how harmful it can be, my response was probably something like, "You got this," or "No sense in complaining about that," or "Tomorrow will be better." One of those taglines. And who can even promise that anyway? Tomorrow will be better. Maybe it won't be. And I think I probably didn't validate some of those feelings for them, but I did try. Okay, I'm really excited about this part of the podcast. This is where we all get to go off on our own if we feel drawn to do so and discover more about the topics that I cover each episode. I recognize that life is busy and I don't really get it, but it seems to get busier all the time. Why is that? Perhaps actually maybe that's a topic for a whole other podcast. Anyway, I've done a little bit of the digging for resources for you to save you some time. Each episode in this library section, I will offer book, podcast, video for you if I can find good and relevant ones if you want to know more about the subject we discussed. This episode, I found a few cool resources that you might want to check out. A couple of books. One's called Bittersweet, How Sorrow and Longing Make Us Whole by Susan Cain. Another one is Toxic Positivity, Keeping It Real in a World Obsessed with Being Happy by Whitney Goodman. She's an author and a licensed psychotherapist. Obviously, reading an entire book is a massive time investment, and as I just mentioned, we are running out of time for some reason. We are busy. I get it. Hot tip. Audiobooks are my new best friend. Listening to audiobooks means I can accomplish two things at once, like clean my house and read about the things that make me happy. Certainly happier than cleaning my house. It kind of offsets. It's helpful. The podcasts and videos are obviously a little less of a time investment, but equally as educational and inspiring. The podcast is called Dare to Lead with Brene Brown. She's a professor, researcher, and writer. I'm certain you've likely heard of her. She's from Texas. Her episode is with Susan David. It's on the dangers of toxic positivity. It's a two-parter. Susan David is a psychologist and writer out of the States as well. YouTube video I found, Toxic Positivity, The Reality of Suppressing Emotions. Dr. Tracy Marks is a psychiatrist. Her video is about 7 minutes long. She does a really nice job of summing up the concept of toxic positivity. Makes it very, very clear. Where do my ideas come from for podcast topics? Well, this is where your voice gets heard. If you have a topic you want to know more about and you want to hear it discussed on Sunny with a Chance of Chaos, please write me at sunnywithachanceofchaos@writeme.com. That's WRITE me.com. Send me your ideas. Send me your stories. Your story could be the perfect one to land at the top of the podcast, helping me introduce the episode and the subject matter. Your voice and your words are so important. Your experiences are important and valid, and the world deserves to hear what you have to say. So send me your words. sunnywithachanceofchaos@writeme.com. This is the end of the podcast, and we're going to finish off each episode with a section called Gratitude as the Cure for Chaos. When I first read the quote, happiness is not having everything you want, it's being grateful for the things you already have. It made so much sense to me, and now gratitude is a daily practice in my life. It helps keep me grounded, it helps me appreciate all of the gifts in my life. Gratitude for me is like a non-toxically positive way to help move through adversity. For example, I would say, yes, this is hard. And I'm so grateful I have such good friends to help me through it. So each episode, we will have a gratitude moment. Today, I want to show gratitude for the friends who listen to every single first draft, every edit, and mulled over every version of the logo I went through, trying to name the podcast, all of it. It was something. I also want to thank C and my son for allowing me to include their stories in the episode. I want to include my friend Jay for helping me with the music. I could not do any of the things I do without the community that is around me. My friends and family and my colleagues and everyone that supports me every day. I couldn't do anything, let alone take on a podcast. So I appreciate all of you out there who supported me for 44 years. Awesome. Thank you. And now all you new listeners get to be part of the community as well. So welcome to the chaos. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your time. And don't forget, in the midst of chaos, turn your face towards the sun.
See you next time. Bye.